Update on the 54 Plymouth. I've been messing with it a little bit and wanted to go ahead and get a little bit of video done before I get too carried away. Next up, we're working on ignition since we have compression on all the cylinders. So I have new points, condenser, rotor, and cap. And right now I'm trying to decide if I'm going to pull the distributor or not. I think I'm going to go ahead and pull the distributor. That way I can just do a really good job of rebuilding it. Because no matter what, I'm going to end up wanting to pull it out later on. Because I don't know the condition of the bushings and stuff like that. So that's pretty much how we're looking there. I got quite a few other parts. There's some of the ignition bits. I have some cooling system parts, radiator hoses, upper and lower carb rebuild kit, water pump, spark plug wires and spark plugs. And one of the next things I have to work on is I need to make a water neck. You probably noticed in one of the other videos that the original thermostat housing or water neck was just totally trashed. There was no way it was going to be reusable. All I could get that was going to be reusable was the base here. So I cut the base off of just the rusty, nasty mess that was on top of it, and the rest actually looks pretty good. Down inside here where the thermostat sits, it looks nice. We're not going to have to machine that. And then I've got 3 different sizes of pipe, obviously, to neck back down to the 1.25" that we need. So I'll weld that up, stick a bead around the end there so the radiator hose can grab onto it. And I'm really, really hoping that I can make this thing fire up. I'm thinking towards the end of next week, maybe I'll make it run. And if I get ignition and the thing actually fires up, then I'll pull the carburetor off and do a rebuild of the carburetor. I'm not going to pull it off right now, just in case, you know, we have like major knocking or something like that. I don't want to waste too much time. So we'll just bottle feed this thing through the carburetor with some two-stroke gas. So I'm working on the ignition right now, rebuilding the distributor for the Plymouth. Ended up being a little bit more in depth than I had anticipated, just because everything's kind of gross and falling apart. I've got to get a gasket for the distributor, but we've got it all cleaned up inside and out, even though it doesn't look really cleaned up. Didn't go for like a, you know, aesthetic rebuild, but moves nice and free, freed up all the oil and grooves, and I just finished putting that setup back together. And now we're going to rebuild the breaker plate. At least I think that's what this kind of assembly is called. Right now I'm remaking this little connecting wire, which goes from the input here around to this little bridge piece where the capacitor or condenser hooks up, as well as this leg of the points here. So this is the piece of wire that was in there, and the insulation was just falling apart and at risk of grounding out on the case. And it didn't have a new one, so we're just rebuilding it with a new piece of wire. So I've got a new piece of wire here, and I'm working on uncrimping and unsoldering, and then recrimping and resoldering the terminals, which is kind of difficult because everything is very, very small. After that, I'll take apart the breaker plate and grease it, then put it back together, and then I'll make a new wire for this piece here. So this is going to be a common theme on the Plymouth. All of the insulation for all of the wiring is falling apart. But that's pretty much how we're looking. So here pretty soon I'll get this back together. I did notice the points that I got are crap. So what brand is it? This brand right here, WVE. I would not recommend this stuff. I just got it because it was in the same warehouse as the other Plymouth parts that I picked up, but I would not be buying it again. You can see, like, for example, the points. Well, maybe you can't. I don't know how much the camera will pick up, but they're not super square. You know, there's a lot of movement, as you can see, side to side there. So these will get the car running, but I can already tell you right now, I'm going to put some different points in. Heck, I may not even finish assembling the distributor. I may see if I can find some better points. Also, they don't have the felt wipe holder. Like right here, you can see that little piece of felt wipe. So the points are supposed to have a built-in little holder for it, and they're not even on that one. But anyway, that's how we're looking. Hopefully I will finish this up today or tomorrow, and then we'll get to making some spark plug wires. Start on spark. Well, I just put the distributor back in, and I'm on to making spark plug wires. So I routed them all through this little plate thing, which I think is kind of dumb, but I wanted to do it original, at least for now. So anyway, they're all routed through there and all cut to length. About to terminate all these ends, and then we'll get it installed. Then I'll probably need to do some wiring to the coil and maybe to the voltage regulator. I guess it just depends how bad that stuff is. I have a feeling once I start opening up those harnesses, it's going to be kind of a can of worms. But anyway, spark plug wires right now, and then we'll keep on going. Well, today I'm going to attempt to fire up the Plymouth. I've got all of the valves free, which was the biggest job. So I have compression on all 6 cylinders. I just finished putting together the ignition system, and we're going to give it a go. So I'm not going to mess with the carburetor or the fuel system yet until we can just make sure the bottom end of this engine is okay. Then I'll start really putting some extra time and money into it. But at this point, we just want to see if it'll fire up. Rebuilt the distributor, and as you can see, we have new spark plug wires on there, new plugs, and a coil. So I'm not going to use the factory wiring to power the coil right now. It does work. I've tested it, but I'm a little bit worried about just the integrity of the wiring. So we're going to jump it right now. I already have new wiring going from the coil to the distributor, and we're just going to run this jumper here so I can power the coil straight off the battery when I want to. And then I've got a battery charger on here because I don't know how long this will take. It is a new battery, so shouldn't be too bad. I'm going to go ahead and fill up the carburetor, I think with 2-stroke, and we'll use some starting fluid. See if this thing will fire up. Put a good bit of, this is a 2-stroke fuel, by the way. All right, let's give it a go. This will be the first time anyone has tried to fire this engine since 1976. Let's see what happens. That's open. All right. Wow, that was pretty awesome. Tried to rev up a little bit on me there, so I went ahead and pulled that ignition wire. That's unbelievable. That was pretty incredible. That was probably one of the easiest first starts I've done in a long time, not considering the work that went into the engine before all of this. But as far as just hitting the button and see what happens, yeah, my throttle maybe was a little bit too open or something like that. Something was going on, and it was idling up on me. So, all right, some springs. Definitely not correct springs. Let's see what we can do. Man, this thing runs so smooth. That is unreal. Just need to keep fueling it at this point. I don't think it's flooding, so I'm going to see if I can fill this bowl up. All right, we'll give that a go. Wow, amazing. All right, so I just need to get some fuel to this thing, and we're in business. It runs incredible. So you know what that means. Fuel after this is going to be brakes. Well, it's just gonna sit there and idle. Haven't even messed with the carburetor at all. That is incredible. We're making quite a smoke show. I'll let the carburetor bowl run out of fuel. And then next is gonna be cooling system. I know I can handle the fuel system, but cooling system is gonna be a big one. We'll need to flush the block out. Well, there you have it. This thing runs pretty sweet. Definitely, man, a lot better than I expected. It runs so smooth. So the next thing is going to be cooling system. After the cooling system, or during that, somewhere in there, I'll rebuild the carburetor. Then we'll run it off a boat tank or something like that. And then when we can get it running and cooling, then we'll do some other fun stuff like, you know, the things that actually make the car usable, like brakes and steering and clutch and all that kind of stuff. Well, the first run went surprisingly well. Now I can go ahead and order some more parts. I need to get various gaskets and other kind of stuff. I wanted to show you guys the fuel pump. Went ahead and pulled this thing off, and man, it's just a testament to how awful ethanol is. This is still liquid after 50 years. It is just pouring out, no problem. It is definitely dirty, but man, if this was ethanol fuel, we'd have a bunch of solid stuff in here, and this would just be an absolute wreck. So I'm hoping I can rebuild this fuel pump, because that would be great. But until next time, see you soon.